Talk shoes.
Recorded live.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Müvment Boxing Podcast. I am Twan the Divine Liberty of HoopJab.com and Rocky Mountain Boxing. And I have my co-host with me today, TK the God of the Gods of Boxing Talk, and Big Cool of the Colossal Boxing Talk. How you doing today, fellas?
Doing good.
Doing good, man.
All right, we should have Bo on in a quick second. You know him. Emotional as usual. But let's go ahead and get started with our topics, man. We got some pretty good ones lined up for you today, as usual. And we also have a special guest coming on in a little while, acclaimed trainer, Joe Diaz. You guys probably remember him from Tim Bradley trainer, currently training Felix Diaz Jr. or Felix Diaz right now. So he's still a top trainer in the game right now. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this episode started with our first topic. We had a fight over the weekend for a cruiserweight belt, the WBC. Tony Bellew defending his belt against BJ Flores, winning by knockout. Let me go ahead and pass it to 2K. Break it down. What did you see in the fight and what led to the knockout?
Well, right from the jump, man, I noticed the physical change in BJ Flores' body, man. Dropping from 224.5 pounds in his last fight back down to 198.25 pounds in this fight for BJ Flores, and it was done in less than 5 months. Kind of had that Roy Jones effect whenever he went up to heavyweight to fight John Ruiz, and then came right back down to light heavyweight 6 months later to fight Antonio Tarver. I noticed that. I noticed he was real soft to the body. Looked like you can just pinch some fat on his body, man. So I was actually surprised, and I wasn't surprised that Tony Bellew didn't go to the body more. He's not really a big body puncher to begin with, but that seemed to be something that needed to be done. And to be quite honest, the very last knockdown, which was the fourth knockdown, he actually hit him with a right hook to the body that hurt his ass, that actually put him on his knees. I feel if he would have went to the body a little bit earlier, probably would have got him out of there earlier. But to the fight, man, to be honest with you, we was talking about, BJ Flores in the last podcast, man. Me and my man Big Cool, we kind of was going hard on him a little bit, talking about he about to lose this fight, getting too many chances, et cetera, et cetera. But to be honest, man, he looked decent in this fight. I gave him the first time, you know what I'm saying? He had that jab, commanding. He was backing Bellew up. He was landing a 1-2. His straight right hand was money. You know what I'm saying? The second round, he was winning the second round until Tony Bellew landed that low left hook, and it caused BJ Flores to stop. And this is why I say, people, I said this on the last video I made, man, protect your fucking self at all times, B. Like, this is boxing 101, man. This is the first rule of boxing. You know what I'm saying? He gets hit low, he backs up, grabs his genitalia area, you know what I'm saying, looks at the ref, and then, the ref's like, fight, motherfucker. So Bellew jumps on him, hits him with a short uppercut, and then a right hook on the inside, drops him. And he never really recovered from that point on, B. The second knockdown, Bellew leads with a straight right, which happened right after the first. He leads with a straight right that Flores slips. Then he comes over the top with a left hook, but it glances the top of BJ Flores' head, and it drops him. And that punch didn't look like it landed with enough force to actually knock him down. So at this point in the fight, I started thinking about his physical condition, how out of shape he looked at the win, and then and how out of shape he looked in the fight. I started thinking that maybe dropping so much weight in such little time started getting to him, because he's falling off of shit that's not even hurting him, that's not even touching him. You know what I'm saying? Then you got in the third knockdown, he gets up, immediately starts fucking slugging. He gets caught with a right hand, he pretty much backs up to the ropes. Then he gets caught with another straight right hand on the inside that hurts him. And then Bellew, around and after this, he's throwing shots and missing all over the fucking place. And, Flores, he falls again. And it's just like, damn, dog, like, he looked good whenever he was on his feet and whenever he was trying to fight, whenever he was trying to actually execute a game plan. But after the first knockdown, man, it just all went to shit for him. And I really believe that his physical condition and him dropping all that weight, I think this played a major factor in the fight. It's the elephant in the room that nobody's really talking about. Tony Bellew, on the other hand, man, he's revitalized his career. I think he has his hands low for too long. You can hit him with the jab, you can hit him with the straight. I think David Haye will beat the dust off this boy, regardless of the fact that he states that he beat up David Haye as an amateur, him and David Price. This ain't the fucking amateur. And this ain't David Haye as, at that point in time. This is a different David Haye. It would be a fight that would have to happen at heavyweight. I think Tony Bellew will get murdered in that fight. But he's a guy that's revitalized his career after being embarrassed by Donna Stevenson in 2013. I mean, he immediately moved up and beat Valerie Brudov. At one point, that name was a big name, but when Bellew beat him, he only had 4 losses, and he only lost to 4 of the top cruiserweight guys. So, and then after that, he beat Alunga Makabu, who's the number 9 ranked pound-for-pound fighter in the cruiserweight division. So, I don't know, man. He's revitalized his career. It's a good win for him. I just don't think that he'll be champion for that long. Somebody's going to take that title from him, bro.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that about Flores' offensive game and his actual game plan and working. I'm glad you did bring that up as a point. Let me go ahead and pass it over to Big Cool. What did you take away from the fight?
I mean, it was a good fight, honestly. It was some back and forth action. I applaud Flores for trying. I think once he got hit with that low blow, he was mentally taken out of the fight. And I was kind of shocked at his reaction, the way he went about it. He went about it like he's a, first big step-up fight, of course, in another country, and he got hit, so he didn't know how to react. But this guy has, much experience, so I thought, okay, he may, give a head nod or say something to the ref or stay focused. He just kind of completely lost it mentally, and from that point on, it went down hill for him. Maybe like EJ saying, the drastic weight loss or weight cut, had to do something, had to take a dramatic toll on his body, because I don't care what nobody says, Bellew don't punch that hard. I mean, he don't punch that hard, and Flores has been in the ring with much bigger punchers and naturally bigger guys than Tony Bellew, so I'll have to attribute those knockdowns, the majority of them, by the fact that he had to cut so much weight in a short amount of time. And, like you just said earlier, he was, winning the fight. He established his jab. He bagged Bellew up on the ropes. He was landing a straight right hand and getting off some combinations, but he gassed. He mentally fell apart once he got hit in the nuts, which that'll happen to anybody because that's one of the most sensitive areas on the man's body. But props to Bellew for defending his title. But I agree also with EJ that David Haye murders him. With the hurt toe, no hurt toe. I mean, it's anything, man. That's just a mismatch. And it was funny.
Right.
You say look like SpongeBob, but SpongeBob would beat your ass. And David Haye, that's just. I'm just being, I mean, Bellew, man, he good, but I wasn't too impressed, like really, because it's Flores, not to disrespect Flores, but if this was somebody else he was doing it to, I'd be like, okay, he still wouldn't have a chance against Haye, but he'll fare better against the top guys in his division, but. He gonna lose this scrap soon, but it won't be because he held on it too long. He doesn't duck anybody, so we don't got to worry about that. But I mean, he's an okay fighter. I mean, he's a C-level fighter in my opinion, maybe low B, but he got hurt. I believe that he got shook up a little bit by Flores' punches. I think it was in the third round when they was exchanging shots, and BJ hit him with a right hand or it might be the left hook. And he retreated back to the rope. So against Usyk and some of the top guys, what's the Russian guy, man, that fought Jones, knocked out Roy Jones too. He fought Gorilla.
Dennis Lebedev?
Yeah, Lebedev probably beats him. Usyk beats him. Huck beats him probably. I mean, I just think that he's, chopped liver when it comes to the top guys in the division, but he'll give us an entertaining fight either way it goes. But props to both guys. hopefully this is the end of BJ Flores' career. Because I don't know if if he's a shell of himself or it was just the weight cut. But props to him, and hopefully Bellew fights David Haye just because it'll be an entertaining build up to the fight.
Yeah.
So,
All right, let me swing it over to Bo. Bo, what'd you take from the fight, man, and your thoughts about Bellew moving forward?
What I took from the fight is something that we had already talked about. Listen, nothing against BJ, but we knew going into this fight that the biggest question was, what BJ was we going to see? Like everybody said, and he knew better. Like he fell apart. Like he looked to the ref when he got hit low. Then not only did he fall apart, he just completely abandoned the whole game plan that was working for him. He started swinging wild, you know what I'm saying? He started swinging wild punches. Like, it was one of them situations where he just said, okay, he just threw technique out the window. He started swinging wild punches. And let's let's just be clear about something here. Tony Bellew, and like you said, props out to him. Remember, because he beat Shalimbe, then he got slaughtered by Stevenson. Then he put together a string of good runs. He brought himself back. But Tony Bellew doesn't have the greatest defense, and he's not the fleetest of all feet. And B.J. Armstrong was able to capitalize on that. He had some things working. But when he got hurt, he just completely abandoned his game plan. He made mistakes that a veteran like himself and a commentator who sees stuff like this should have known better than to do. Yeah. So, and once that happened, and I was watching the fight, and once it happened, I said, okay, it's only a matter of time. Because there's at no point in time did he gather himself, calm himself down, and regain his composure, And as far as Tony Bellew goes, listen, I don't think this fight's going to happen. I don't think Tony Bellew goes up to heavyweight. If he goes up to heavyweight, outside of David Haye, I can't even think of no heavyweight he could even beat right now if he goes up to heavyweight.
Nobody.
So if he goes right, he'll be outmanned, outsized, and outgunned. So the only way this fight happens is if he go up to heavyweight. David Haye has already said that he's not going to go down to cruiserweight. All right, and like everybody else said, I don't see him beating some of the top guys at cruiserweight. Usyk washing him. Glowacki, probably can still wash him. Huck, Steve Cunningham, cats like this could probably still take him. But I'm glad I'm glad he's there because again, this is boxing. We never know. We can only go based off the eye test. But based off what I saw, he just doesn't seem like the punches he was getting hit with. I'm talking about Bellew. Those are punches that he shouldn't have been getting hit with. And I was looking at that like you should not be getting hit with these punches that Flores is hitting you with, as slow as Flores was, too. I mean, Flores wasn't like, the fastest hands out there. He was slow. And I'm like, you shouldn't be getting hit with those type of punches. Yeah, I'm like, you shouldn't be getting with those punches. But at least he does want to fight David Haye. But, yeah, I see David Haye. David Haye washes him. And but one props to Bellew. He knows how to promote. He knows how to get people to want to watch a fight because he was barking and doing all them things after the fight. So now there's an interest there. Even if he don't fight, hey, whoever he fight next, at least there'll be an interest there. He got his name out there, and props to him for that.
Yeah.
Chisora, Haye all over, but worse. Because we know what Chisora did, talking all that junk, and Haye just obliterated him, and it just be worse for Bellew. So I advise him not take this fight, man, because it's going to be Haye. And one thing he can do is punch. And
right.
He can punch like a motherfucker.
So. Definitely, it's looking like Bellew will fight again in December. It probably won't be Haye. That's probably a little bit too soon, but they are looking like they are in talks to do something in the future. So I guess that is a fight we can look forward to. I'm not sure what division to look at it will be in. So let's keep our eye out on that, and also for his next fight coming up in December to be announced shortly who the opponent is. That leads us to our next topic, which is Tyson Fury. He vacated his WBA, WBO, and IBO titles over the weekend. you know, is pretty much expected, I guess, by most, considering his recent issues. Let me get your thoughts, Bo. Starting off with you, what are your thoughts on Tyson just finally vacating the belts?
My thoughts on this is that this was something that I think a lot of people had to expect was going to happen. There's some bad karma or bad aura surrounding Tyson Fury right now. I mean, this is a guy who not too long ago was on top of the goddamn world, okay? And I give Tyson Fury respect because, don't get me wrong, I respect anybody who fights the champion to win, but I give Tyson Fury respect because he fought the man, which was Klitschko, okay? He targeted the man, and he beat the man. And it just seems like after he won that title, man, things just kind of spiraled out of control. But thus is boxing. 1 minute you're on top of the world, and the next minute it comes crashing down on your head. I hope whatever's going on with him, he gets it straightened out. He gets himself together because Tyson Fury is still he's a name, and he still can be a force in the sport of boxing. This is a guy, as for a big guy, he is skilled. You know, he's smart as far as, you know, he's funny, and he's a fun-loving dude to be around, okay? He knows how to promote himself. He knows how to keep his name out there. So, you know, whatever's going on with him, I hope he get this straightened out, you know. I think that people, you know, they're quick to make fun and jump on and talk crap about. I mean, we do it too, but I'm talking about when people are being vicious about it, you know. And right now, Tyson Fury, you know, he's in a bad place. But, you know, I mean, I think he'll come back. You know, I really do. I hope he does come back. But because, you know, we really wanted to see what would take place in that second fight. What would Klitschko bring in that second fight? And that still would be something intriguing to see. So I hope he comes back, man. I hope he gets himself together. It's just, like I said, thus is boxing, man. 1 minute you're on top of the world, and it does not take much to bring you back down to reality and humble you in this sport.
All right, let me go ahead and pass it over to Big Cool on this one. Let me get your thoughts on this, bro.
I think, honestly, man, I think he did what he wanted to do when he started, you know, his career. Obviously, you know, he didn't know Klitschko was going to be the champion when he defeated him, but he always talked about it, you know, ever since, you know, he came to that point, Klitschko's been the champion. But ever since he had the dream of wanting to become a boxer, he said, you know, I'm going to be the heavyweight champion. I think once he did it, he got content. I think he's fulfilled, you know, what he wanted to do. I don't think he has that passion right now to fight. He said it leading up to the fight, you know, and leading up to the rematch when they did the UK's version of the face-off or whatever it's called. He was just talking like he really didn't want to, you know, go through with the rematch. And, of course, he has his demons, which I guess we can all say it's been there, but now the symptoms are, you know, you can't, you know, ignore them anymore. But I think that he's content with what he did. If he doesn't fight anymore, I don't think you'll hear him say he has any regrets because the guy he called out constantly was the guy he beat. You know, he said he was going to beat him. So hopefully he does get the help that he truly, you know, needs because it's bigger than boxing. He has kids. He has a wife. They need him more than we need to be entertained by him. So hopefully he gets everything situated and he rededicates himself, finds passion again, and, you know, and come back guns blazing because, like Bo said, he's a big, skillful guy, fun-loving guy, big personality, can promote a fight. And, you know, I'd like to see him and Wilder, him and Joshua, him and, you know, all those guys fight. So, first thing, get yourself, you know, all the way back mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and then, you know, go from there.
All right, 2K, anything you'd like to add on?
Well, talking more about what should happen in the aftermath of him relinquishing both of those titles, you know, Tyson Fury, he's obviously one of the best, or probably, in my opinion, on paper, the best heavyweight. Off paper, I think it's Luis Ortiz, but on paper, he's the best heavyweight out there. He's the unified, or the lineal champion, the heavyweight division. So if he comes back and he's still in tip-top shape, the same type of mindset he was in before he fought Klitschko the first time, then he's going to be a force to reckon with. With that being said, though, what should happen after that, the WBA, looking at their rankings as of August, they don't have any rankings up for September and October, shit, of course, my man Luis Ortiz is the number one contender, and he's the interim belt holder. He needs to be given a shot. I don't give a fuck about Bo's homeboy, Flores Kendo. I don't want to see him get no shot at the WBA title just because the WBA promised him an opportunity because he got a majority decision loss against Ruslan Shagaev. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Lucas Brown get an opportunity to fight for the WBA title against Vladimir Klitschko after, pissing hot recently. He got the WBA title, then he pissed hot, and then now we're going to give him a shot again. We're just going to erase Luis Ortiz. No, we need to either have Vladimir Klitschko versus Luis Ortiz for that belt or Luis Ortiz versus somebody, but he needs to be on there. As far as the WBO, their rankings are as accurate as of September. You got Joseph Parker and Andy Ruiz, and that's going to be our next topic, so I'm not going to go into that. But if we don't have that fight, then we got Vladimir Klitschko again and possibly Joseph Parker or possibly David Hay, Hughie Fury. He could fight his cousin. His cousin is ranked number 5 in the WBO. I mean, so there's a lot of fights that could happen right now. If we're keeping it pertaining to Vladimir Klitschko, because he's saying that he wants an opportunity to become the champion again, to have all those belts. There's a lot of fights out there for him. Just depends on what they really want to do. But regardless of Luis Ortiz, man, he needs to get his fucking shot straight up.
Yeah, I would definitely say I agree with that, being the interim titleist. He's probably the best among the heavyweights out there, in my opinion, right now.
Hold on.
As far as implications for the belts, it's pretty crazy right now with the WBA situation. It's looking like that's what's holding up the Klitschko and Joshua talks that have been supposedly going on. Whatever's going on with the WBA is what's going to be determine the outcome of that fight happening, really. So, in reality, it's probably a fight that won't happen because of the WBA rankings and what they got going on with their situation already. So I definitely think it should be a fight that involves Luis Ortiz and, possibly Vladimir fights the winner, So, yeah. You never know. Let the WBA sort their belt situation out, and then Klitschko could come out against the winner. I think that's what needs to happen in that situation. But that leads us to our next topic, which is also about the heavyweight division. UK led a little bit into it, happening with the WBO belt, heavyweight belt. It's looking like we're going to have Joseph Parker taking on Andy Ruiz. Hasn't been announced yet, but that's looking like that's what is going to happen. Both camps are already talking about it, and have been in the media talking about the fight already and, previous sparring experiences. So let me go ahead and take it to Bo. What are your thoughts on this fight happening, man, for that belt?
Man, you know what? I don't know if I should be politically correct or just come out and just give my frustration with this whole saga that's been going on. Vladimir Klitschko is getting... What's up?
I said, say how you would, but man, don't be PC.
Vladimir Klitschko is getting fucked all the way around on this, man.
Good job, Bo. Good job. Good job.
He is, man. He's getting fucked all the way around. The man had a rematch clause. He already lost the opportunity to get all his belts back when the IBF decided that they didn't want Fury to have the belt and to do some crazy bullshit and pass that belt off, and Charles Martin won it. Now, nobody wants to honor this man's rematch clause that he had when he was going to fight Fury, and now that Fury's out of the picture, now each one of these title holders, these alphabet motherfucking sanctioned bodies, is scrambling, trying to put belts on other cats for no other reason other than greed and fucking money or whatever it is. It don't make no sense to me. Vladimir Klitschko should get one guy to fight for all the motherfucking belts that he's entitled to, okay? Joseph Parker got a bullshit fucking victory over Dimitrenko. I don't know how you can't see a 6'9" motherfucker on his goddamn knees. And you tell me you don't see that. I don't know how you don't see no shit like that.
He saw it.
But okay, fine. Right, he saw it, but fine, whatever. And people said he was acting. Acting, That man was hurt because he heard this ref making a count. He made no fucking attempt to get up. So there was no acting, otherwise he'd have got up. Bottom line is, Klitschko's supposed to have a shot for all his belts back. Fuck whoever else gonna fight for him. Klitschko's supposed to get his chance, and I agree with 2K. And only reason why I'm agreeing with 2K, because I don't like what he said about my man fans, is the fact that he did say Ortiz supposed to get a shot. So because he said Viva la Cuba, my man Ortiz, I'm cool with that. But Klitschko is getting fucked. Don't talk to me about Joseph Parker and Ruiz, because neither one of them deserve a shot at the title over Vladimir fucking Klitschko, who had his rematch clause.
I agree. Man. Yep.
Go ahead. I'll go ahead and let 2K follow up on that since you agreed with him. Go ahead and elaborate more. What were your thoughts specifically, 2K?
I mean, I ain't as mad as Bo. So first of all, I want to thank Bo for not being G-rated on this podcast, because everybody know my man be having that Disney Channel show over there, you know what I'm saying? So, but I agree with my man, though. He's 100%, man. He's absolutely correct. You know what I'm saying? We do have Joseph Parker and Andy Ruiz as a viable fight. I mean, they're both ranked in the WBO rankings, 1 and 3 respectively. Vladimir Klitschko is number 2. But Vladimir Klitschko did have a rematch clause. The IBF didn't want to honor that. They immediately stripped Tyson Fury and gave the damn belt to whatever dude, Charles Martin. So, yeah, I think he should have first dibs. They should make maybe a Vladimir Klitschko, Joseph Parker, or maybe Andy Ruiz fight. But those two shouldn't be fighting each other and overlooking Vladimir Klitschko's rightful opportunity to get that belt. But at the same time, like I said, they're ranked 1 and 3 respectively, so we can't really shit on that fight if it were to happen for that belt. But yeah, I mean, it's a good fight. If Andy Ruiz stays in training camp the way he should, and he's always talked about how he has problems in camp being focused or whatnot. If he's not fighting, then he's not focused, and he balloons up in weight more than Chris Arreola would balloon up in weight. If he's focused, it could be a really good fight. If he's not focused, he can fuck around, get knocked out within 5 rounds, and then we got a new WBO champion at Joseph Parker. So while I do agree with my man Bo, it's still an intriguing fight, and it's one that can have a legitimate argument for a WBO belt.
All right, Big Cool, follow up.
I mean, I like the Parker Ruiz fight. Ruiz is a guy that's talented, but like EJ said, his weight or his lack of dedication in the gym has always been a downside of his career. He's definitely gonna have to be in tip-top condition to, going into this fight or potential fight with Joseph Parker. But yeah, Vladimir Klitschko should, get a title shot because he had to wait twice, dealing with Tyson Fury, and he respectfully done it. He hasn't complained, so I think he has his right to, I guess, whatever causing the Joshua fight to, not get finalized, whether he's trying to get the WBA title added to it. He has the right to complain and try to, cause some noise for that because, like I said, he's been two different training camps trying to, preparing for his rematch with Tyson Fury. Both times Tyson Fury, pulled out for whatever reasons. We know they all well documented. So, I mean, give the man who was the longest reigning champion in recent memory, 11, 12 years in a row, his just due one last time because, we all admit that he's closer to being out the door than he's ever been in recent years. So, let Vladimir get his title shot at the belt he wants and also, make that Parker Ruiz fight happen because we need some, fresh heavyweight matches between the young guns.
All right, let me get your take on this, Bo. Do you think Parker is taking the easy route by opting for this Ruiz fight as opposed to going after the IBF against Joshua?
No, not at all. Only reason why I said it because he's ranked by the WBO. They're both ranked by the WBO. And I think they were picked to probably fight for the title. So I can't say he's taking the easy route. If you're in the ranking system and you're at the top of the ranking system and the two top guys are fighting, you can't. I can't say he's taking the easy route. I would say he's taking the easy route if he purposely was in the IBF and looked over at the WBO. But no, I don't think he's taking the easy route.
You know, it'd be an easy route if he was fighting somebody like David Price. You know what I'm saying? That would be the easy route. But Andy Ruiz, man, he's an undefeated fighter. He's got fast hands. He's got decent power. He's not a dumbass in the ring. It's not an easy route for him.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be Parker.
They have sparred together in the past, and Parker definitely said it was some good work. So he's not expecting a light fight from Ruiz at all. So it's definitely a fight that I look forward to seeing in the heavyweight division. As far as clicks goes, implications, I think he needs to wait it out, even though he had his rematch clause with Tyson Fury. You know, the man's no longer fighting, so the division goes on. You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at it. But he definitely should have first crack at the winner of the WBA after they sort out their situation. That's for sure. Because, you know, they have a big mess going on already with them. So they definitely need to sort that out anyway. I guess that leads us to our next topic. We got Felix Diaz. He was announced to be fighting again in December. He'll be fighting in his homeland of the Dominican Republic in December. No opponent to be announced yet, but as you know, Diaz does go back and forth between two different weight classes. 140 and 147.
Not to cut you off. You on with Joe.
Okay.
Hello.
Quan, you there?
Yeah, I'm
Yes, I'm here. How's it going?
How you doing, Mr. Diaz?
Yes, I can hear you guys.
Okay, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
All right, thanks for coming on and talking live on the show with us tonight, man. Glad to have you on.
No problem, man. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for having me on the show.
All right, then. We were just actually talking about to start talking about one of your fighters now, Felix Diaz. You're still training him? Is that correct?
Which one?
Felix Diaz from Dominican Republic.
Oh, Felix, yes. I'm still training Felix Diaz right now. Right now he's back home. He's in Dominican Republic. He's last I heard from him, he from his manager, he has a scheduled fight December 10th in Santo Domingo, but they have not confirmed yet. He was supposed to be here in camp last week, but he hasn't. So if the fight is still on, more likely he'll be here next week.
Okay, that's good to hear. Do you know if it's going to be at the 140-pound weight class or 147? Because I do know he does want to fight between both classes.
Well, right now I spoke to his manager, you know, because I wanted to know what was next for him, what was up in the agenda for him.
Hello?
It sounds like we lost him.
Yeah.
Hold on. Well, y'all keep going. You're coming back.
All right, but I guess we could continue talking about Felix Diaz until we could get Joe back on. Anyways, what do you guys think about him fighting into December, and just some of his prospects at, you know, either 140 or 147? He has been calling out Terrence Crawford. That's a fight that he wants bad at 140, and, you know, he said he's willing to fight anybody at 147. So let me get your thoughts on this, TK, on Felix Diaz in general.
Well, first of all, I'd like to see him at 140, 147. I know he's fought at 144. Wouldn't be his first time there. But at 140, man, he has a better shot as of right now. I like to see that Terrence Crawford fight, man. That's a fucking excellent fight right there.
Yeah.
I have Crawford winning, but it's a situation where, man, Felix Diaz can definitely surprise us, man. He has the skill set to do that. But if he doesn't get that fight, I mean, I definitely think that a fight with Adrian Broner would be an excellent matchup for him. He's got Ricky Burns. I can't remember the cat. His name is like Edwin or Edmer Tartakovsky. He's like the other champion at 140. I think he beats the shit out of him, man. I think he's an IPF champion at 140. He'll beat the hell out of that guy. That would be an easy route to get a belt right there. A Victor Postal fight. Victor Postal got embarrassed by Terrence Crawford, but he's not done by any means. That's an excellent fight. So then you got your boy Rances Barthélemy. We got, Dominican Republic versus Cuba. So that would be another excellent fight. But I do want to see him fight Danny Garcia, man. I just want to see – I like that matchup, Diaz and Garcia. That's an excellent fight. And I think that's a fight that Felix Diaz would end up winning as well. So there's a lot of fights at him at 140. I like to see him stay there and prosper and pretty much increase the prestige of his legacy, and then maybe move up to 147 and take on comers there.
All right, let me go ahead and pass it over to Bo. What are your thoughts on Felix Diaz and just some of his fight prospects? And is he the real deal? Do you expect him to win a title? Do you expect him to be a titleist soon?
I do expect him to be a titleist. Felix Diaz, he has, and you guys know me, I love cats like him. He's got that dog in him. He lost a fight that I felt he won to Peterson.
Absolutely.
Then he goes into a fight with Sammy Vasquez, and he knows what was at stake, and he put on the performance of I'm not going to say of his life, but he took no chances in this fight at all, period. He let it all out there. We saw his skill set. We saw, why he's a formidable cat. And I agree with 2K, with the exception of he ain't fighting Rances Barthélemy. Fuck that. I'm not having that. He ain't fight. Well, he
might beat your boy.
But you know what, though? All bullshit aside, I actually do like that fight only because Rances Barthélemy, as we all know, has a tendency of giving up his height. And Felix Diaz can fight on the inside. The boy, he can't just box. He can fight on the inside. And so that would be a good fight. I even was thinking him and Earl Spence probably could get down and get it on. That would be an excellent fight. But I think he should definitely stay at 140. There's a lot of good fights from at 140. You got, like you said, Terrence Crawford, and him and Terrence Crawford would be the part 2 version of Crawford and Gamboa because Felix Diaz reminds you sort of that short, compact, highly skilled type of guy.
Exactly.
So, highly skilled type of a guy. So I think that I think he might, at this phase of his career, might be a little bit faster than Gamboa was when Gamboa fought Crawford. So, that would be an excellent matchup there. And then you got to look at, you got some guys at 135. Mikey Garcia might be coming up to 140 soon. That would be an excellent matchup for Felix Diaz. Okay? So, like you said, Victor Postal, if Lucas Matisse come back, Ruslan Provodnikov. So it's some good fights for that boy at 140. I'm glad he's fighting to stay busy. He definitely needs that. He needs to fight to stay busy. And so, I like him. I think he is a future title holder. But at the same time, the quickest path to a title is like the 2K said, the IBF guy. But outside of that, the thing I like about Felix Diaz is he's not trying to look for an easy path to a title. He wants some of the big dogs because he feels like he's supposed to be in there. And it bothers me when cats want one of the big names and people say, well, what has he done to deserve it? Fuck that. Here's a guy that wants it. Boxing don't have that now. You don't have guys that want it. And when you get a guy that want it, we shouldn't be trying to deter him. And I think he washes Danny Garcia, to be honest with you. I just think he's too athletic for Danny Garcia. That's
exactly why I said I want to see that fight because, I've never rooted for motherfuckers to lose, except Tommy Morrison back in the day, you know what I'm saying, and of course Jerry Cooney and shit. But, you know what I'm saying, as far as Danny Garcia and his fucking cherry picking, man, put Felix Diaz's ass in there. This is a guy that's seen as a second tier type of fighter at 140 or at 147, and he still watches the two-time champion and two weight classes, basically. So, yeah, that's exactly why I said I mentioned that fight. But Eduardo Troyanovsky, I fucked his name up. I'm going to get it right this time. That's the IBF champion at 140. Your boy Felix Diaz is ranked number 14, man. So he's going to have to fight somebody within the top 5 who is the only name really worth mentioning in the top 5 is Rancis Barthelemy. And then you got Lenny Zapavigna out of Australia. Those two guys are only 2 guys out of the top 5 worth mentioning. He's got to beat somebody in there in order to get close enough to even get the title shot with Eduardo Troyanovsky. So, I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Do you guys think he's a fighter that's being avoided by the bigger guys?
Yes, absolutely. High risk, low reward.
You know what? That's a very good question. I'll put it to you like this. I'm not going to say being overlooked, but he's not the first name off the lips of some of these dudes. You know, I'll say that because, like 2K said, he's considered second tier. But if you watch his skill set and his mind, his frame of mind, he's first tier fighter all the way.
Yeah.
Okay? He's just considered second tier because, you know, he fought Peterson and got a crappy decision.
Yeah.
You know, but then he fought Sammy Vasquez, who's second tier. But if you look at his skill set and his mind frame, and he's mentally tough, he has first tier written all over him.
You know, the Sammy Vasquez fight he was supposed to lose that fight. I told everybody, I'm pretty sure Bo and Twan, I'm pretty sure you said the same thing. I told everybody, bro, Felix Diaz is about to beat this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Sammy Vasquez is not ready for Felix Diaz, especially if Felix Diaz had turned in a performance against Lamont Peterson, the year before that. So he was supposed to lose that fight, though. Sammy Vasquez was supposed to cruise to 22-0 and continue, being a rising prospect at 147. But that shit didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? He loses to that guy. Everyone saw that. Nobody's going to want to fight this dude, especially when everybody has the general consensus is that he actually beat Lamont Peterson. That just made him be a fucking boogeyman in the sport of boxing. Yeah. You ain't going to see no Danny Garcia scraping to fight Felix Diaz or no damn Keith Thurman or anybody else for that fucking matter trying to fight Felix Diaz. He's high risk, low reward. They're not taking that fight. So hell yeah, overlook him.
The only dude that I think would take him is Sean Porter. Sean Porter's not afraid to fight anybody.
He would, yeah.
That'd be a good fight. But I think Sean might be a little too big for him. But but I like to see him and Broner. I mean,
man, I want to see that Broner fight.
Broner, he'll go toe-to-toe. He'll go toe-to-toe, and he can't be taking out his game plan. And I like to see that fight. I think Broner enjoys a slugfest fight here and there. You know what I'm saying? As long as it's not against McDonough, I think Broner will be all for it. But him versus TC, that'll be a good difficult fight for Terrence Crawford. The way he applies that pressure, he puts the head in your chest. And he just tees off to the body, throw uppercuts, looping shots. I mean, he'll give Terrence Crawford all he can handle. And he was an Olympian, so, you got to give him that, too. I think.
So, medalist, so he got an amateur pedigree behind him, too. So.
Yeah, but I was at that fight when he fought Vasquez. He beat the holy shit out of Vasquez. I'm talking about from each corner. It was like a child getting, getting whooped in the belt, just running. He was just beating the hell out of Vasquez. He dropped him. I was like, oh, shit. But, I like Diaz as a fighter a lot, so I definitely want to see him and Broner. Because I don't think Broner's going to fight Burns this year, right?
Not this year, but
February.
Early. Yeah.
All these fights getting pushed back to next year, whack. But, yeah, I'm not going to touch on, topic early. But, yeah, Broner, Diaz, I prefer to see that over Burns and Broner. So, yeah, that's just my thoughts.
Were you able to get Joe back, or he's done data?
Waiting on him. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that we could go into our divisional spotlight, which we've already touched on a little bit with our last topic with Felix Diaz. Our divisional spotlight is on the 140-pound division. I guess we're going to do a breakdown of the 140-pound division, junior welterweight. We got the champion and Terrence Crawford, WBC and WBA, I believe. Or WBC and WBO. Okay.
WBO, right.
Yeah.
Come on, Terrence Crawford?
Yeah, Terrence Crawford.
Thought it was WBC, WBO.
Okay, then we got Ricky Burns, that's the WBA belt holder. And as 2K mentioned earlier, Edward Charnovsky with the IBF belt. Let me get a 2K's breakdown of the 140 division, and I'll go ahead and let the rest of the fellas touch on the division as well.
Well, this was one of those sleeper divisions. Like if you gave everybody, a lot of boxing enthusiasts, a question of what's the most challenging division in boxing, or what's the division that has the best talent in boxing, and gave them an A, B, C, D answer, and 140 was on there. You know, the 140-pound division will probably be a close third place behind 147 and 154 probably. I mean, you got a lot of guys, man. You got, like you mentioned, you got Terrence Crawford, who's the lineal champion right now there. You got Victor Posel, you got Adrian Broner, you got Lucas Matisse, you got, Ricky Burns, you got the up-and-coming Antonio Orozco, which a lot of people are not talking about Antonio Orozco, man. He's ranked number 4 right now. He's ranked as the number 4 140-pound fighter.
Out of my hometown. He fights out of my hometown, so I definitely been beating him.
Right. A lot of people are not talking about him like they should. You also got Regis Prograis, another guy. A lot of people are not talking about him like they should. You got a guy who just revitalized his career and beating Ruslan Provodnikov and John Molina Jr., who is possibly going to be a fucking opponent for Danny Garcia, another cherry pick, 147. But at 140, he's a live contender for that division. You also got a dude little known in the UK, little known in the United States. He's from the UK. His name is Jack Catterall. I've seen him fight a couple times. Very good fighter. I mean, you got Ricky Burns. You got a lot of guys, man. So a lot of different matchups that can be made. And it's also a division where a lot of upsets can happen as well. For example, if we had Lucas Matisse, who in my opinion is not done by any means. I mean, he was just outclassed by a much better fighter in Victor Posel. If we had Lucas Matisse versus, let's say, Adrian Broner, the whole world would probably pick Adrian Broner. But I might have to go with Lucas Matisse in that matchup. You see what I'm saying? Shit like that. We got a lot of those type of fights at 140. So it's going to be interesting to see what we can come up with, man, in the next couple of years.
Big Cool, let me get your thoughts on the 140-pound division. Some of your guys that you and your sleepers in the division that you think people need to keep an eye out on outside of the champions.
Man, don't sleep. I know he took a surprising L last year, but Amir Imam, man, I still like the guy. I like his power. I like his ability, his boxing ability. I just hate that he has shitty-ass defense. Doesn't move his head, really. I mean, he falls in love with his power. That's what got him, beat in his first career loss. But I definitely, like him as a fighter and would love to see, how he bounces back once he steps up in competition. And I'm not as down as EJ and I guess the rest of you guys on a potential matchup between Molina and Garcia. I think that would have been a good fight for however long it lasted. It certainly would have been better than what we get in November from Garcia. But I like him. Of course, we like Diaz. I mean, I like to see Postal bounce back against somebody quality opponent. You still got Hank Lundy, who's a fringe contender who can always put on entertaining scraps. So, I mean, there's a lot of guys that you could, pick and choose and see some fights. But Imam is my guy out of, the non-champions and the guy that kind of falling off the map. When he knocked out dude in the ring, Robinson, I was like, yeah, this dude's power legit. But I definitely going to keep an eye on him to see how he bounces back. But the division is deep. I mean, there's a lot of exciting matchups that can be made. Earlier, Bo mentioned from guys coming up from 135, Mikey Garcia. So, I mean, there's definitely a division to watch out for.
All right, Bo, let me get your take on the division. I know there's probably a name that you want to see in 140 that ain't been mentioned yet. ain't really been talked about. So go ahead and give your take on it, man.
Man, listen, the 140-pound division, and I agree with 2K. It's one of the sleeper divisions. Like, people look at this. It's almost like one of them things where they look at Roman Gonzalez fights. They don't necessarily look at the division. They just look at the fights. And then they skip from there straight to 126, 130, 135, and then they go straight to 147. And it's almost like that's one of them divisions that people look over. And outside of Mikey Garcia going to 140, you got Robert Easton Jr., Yuriorkis Gamboa, Shaka, what's his name? Dennis Shapakov.
Oh,
so right, you got Dennis Shapakov, and whenever Felix Verdejo get back, he could be another cat who could be a force that goes into that division.
Swan don't like him.
Yeah, but listen, you still got some guys. Amir Imam is still there. Shout out to Twan. Tavon, shout out to Tavon. You still got Amir Imam there. You got, like you said, John Molina is still there. You got that guy Reggie. What's his name? Progreras. Yeah. His name, right? You got Reggie Progreras that's still there. You got, like you said, Ricky Burns. You got Gomez. You got Thomas Delorme. Like you said, Deary John, Herrera. So you got some cats there. Like you said, that given the right matchups, man, you can see some great fights and some even bigger upsets. Okay? Now, the top dog, of course, is Wesley Bartholomew. But anyway.
Cuba Loca.
Motherfucker ain't fought at 140 yet, but he the top dog. All right, we got
Cuba Loca.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? You got Jose Zepeda. There's some great fights that could be made right there. Like you said, people definitely forgot about Orozco. I don't know how they forgot about him. So there's some good fights there. That's why Felix Diaz stay in that division. He has some fights that can be made. And so I like it. I think it's one of the unknown divisions. Adrian Granados. I don't know how I forgot about Granados. He's the one that gave it the blueprint on how on Emir Imam.
That's true.
Emir Imam. He gave us that blueprint.
No. The blueprint was made by Fidel Maldonado Jr.
Right.
And then Adrian Granados went ahead and executed that shit.
Right, executed, exactly. So, man, it's some, and like 2K said, to his point, Granados is a guy that can upset somebody, okay?
I would like to see Granados against Terence Crawford, honestly. That's the one style that we haven't seen Crawford against. Is like a pressure style fighter, that would bring it. Those were the kind of guys that gave, like Floyd trouble or made them look weird, like the Maidanas and the what's the old boy's name, that he fought twice. I can't think of them, but those kind of brawling fighters,
Exactly.
So I definitely think that's a style that we would need to see. That's the one style I need to see Crawford against. To be like,
well, you got him.
I finally got it.
You got him. You got another tough guy. What's his name? Robbie Davis Jr. I think is that his name? Robbie Davis Jr. Robbie Davis Jr. I think.
Oh, Robbie Davis. Yeah, Robbie Davis.
Yeah, Robbie.
I know you're talking about.
No, my bad. Robbie Davis Jr. Yeah. So there's some fights there at 140. I think, but the thing is, 140 is kind of like the cruiserweight division. It's that division in between light heavyweight and heavyweight. And 140 is that division in between 135, which is lightweight, and welterweight. Right. And I think that's the reason why people kind of glance over that division a lot. Once Danny Garcia kind of left that division, thank God Terence Crawford is in there. But once Danny Garcia left that division, it kind of lost some of its buzz. So hopefully it gets it back though.
Also, big up to 2K on the Jack Catterall. He's a pretty nice dude. So definitely looking out for him coming up in the rankings.
Twan, I was gonna say that's a fight with Jack Catterall and Ricky Burns. That's an excellent UK matchup, dog. I know Jack Catterall is not ranked in the WBA, but man, if they could find a way to get that fight, man, that's a fucking excellent fight. And I think Ricky Burns will lose that fight, but I think Jack Catterall will take that belt.
Yeah, and as we know, the Burns and Broner is looking like it's a clash set to go for the WBA title, looking like early next year sometime. The possibilities, like you guys say, there's a lot of good fights that can happen. Even, like you said, the Mirror Mom coming back. You know, he's still, rated like number 2 or 3 by the WBC, underneath Morozco. So, you know, that's a fight we could see, you know, those two fighting, you know, an eliminator to fight Terrence Crawford. You know, that's a fight that's been put out there, or, you know, at least boxing enthusiasts have thought about even until, you know, Mom lost to Granados last year. But, so that's still a good match. If Broner actually does become a belt holder again, you know, do we see him and Crawford in a pay-per-view style event, mega event, you know, so it's a lot of good fights at 140, man. Make them happen, you know. It is definitely some good ones out there. You know, it's not a lot of talked about names in the division. It's a little bit of unsung division. And right now, you know, pretty much Terrence Crawford is the king, you know, holding the 2 belts. And but you know, there's still a good fighters around. And yes, that leads us to our next topic with the WBC with their clean boxing program. Let me get you guys' thoughts on this and them actually booting rated fighters out of their rankings because of not signing up for their clean doping program. I'll start with Bo on this one.
Yeah, you know, my biggest concern and my biggest issue is how are they going about informing these guys the procedure for them, because it seems like everybody kind of had the same complaint, which is, you know, there isn't a lot of information for them as to how to go about to register or get qualified or whatever the case may be for this. I think it's kind of like when you work at a job and they implement something and something goes wrong, and then instead of saying, okay, you know what, everybody, you're fired, they step back and say, oh, wait, that's what's going on. We got too many people that's not, you know, doing this or getting this. What's going on that we're not doing or what's happening here? Let's take a look at this. And I think that's what the WBC should have done. They should have taken a look at this and said, well, we got too many top names here. Let's take a look at this to see what's going on and ask some questions. But again, thus goes the WBC. They always seem to be in some kind of disarray. They always seem to be it's always seemed to be some kind of uncertainty or something going on with them over there at their organization. Now, if it's a situation where guys are just totally not doing what they're supposed to do to register, okay, fine, I get it. But some of these names that I saw, like Felix Diaz's name was on there, and I couldn't understand why his name was on there. Felix Diaz is more on the WBO side, but okay, you know, it is what it is. But like you said, I'm quite sure. What's his name? Amir Khan. I'm quite sure Amir Khan don't want to lose his number 1 status as a WBC title. You know, as a number 1 guy for a WBC title, I'm sure he don't want to lose that status. So, like I said, that's my only issue is from what I've been reading about it. There's been a lot of complaints of people saying there's not a lot of information there. There's, you know, they're not giving anything as to what procedures is being done, or they're not getting no answers. So it's a lot of uncertainty on what's going on with this program. The only reason why, like Povetkin, he got forced into it. Like he was the first dude that got put in it. You know, he didn't have the choice. He was penciled in. You know, so yeah, they need to look at this and see what's going on, because some of these names we're seeing, it just boggles my mind. I'm like, something has to be going on. There's too many top guys who are not doing what they need to do to get inside of here and be registered. Because if you go to the website now, the WBC, they don't even have Amir Khan ranked anymore at all, period. You know, I think if I'm not mistaken, Andre Berto is ranked number 1. So, yeah, so they got to look at this and figure out what's going on.
Andre Berto. Man, look, I like the idea But the problem that you have is exactly what Bo just mentioned. You got motherfuckers that don't deserve to be ranked high because you're dropping all these dudes. I mean, shit, I might as well throw my fucking name in the pot. I might be ranked number 2, you know what I'm saying, next week based on how many cats they dropping. But I mean, it's a good idea. It's an idea that I think that a lot of the other 3 major sanctioning bodies they probably should do. And it's a double-edged sword, man. It's a double-edged sword. I think they should do it to call fighters bluff. Like, hey, motherfucker, if you don't sign up, we're gonna drop you straight up. And from what I heard, I haven't really looked much into it, but the last thing I heard was that Amir Khan was like, "Oh no, don't drop me. I'll sign up," and he did. And then the WBC kept him where he was supposed to be at. But I haven't looked at the rankings since that story, which came out about 3 or 4 days ago. So I'm not sure if they moved him or not. But what happened with Amir Khan, from what I understand, that could eventually happen with a lot of different fighters if all 4 major sanctioning bodies were doing this. Right now, it's just one major sanctioning body. A lot of fighters are just going to be like, well, shit, that's just WBC ranked. Shit, I'm still ranked, number 2 in the WBO, number 3 in the IBF. Fuck them then. They still love me over here. But if all 4 was doing this, then it would be a situation where fighters are being dropped on all 4 major ranking lists. So I think that would actually get fighters to cooperate a lot more. I mean, it's just more. We need all 4 of the major organizations working together in order to achieve something good in boxing.
Just to follow up on that, Amir Khan did enroll in the program. These fighters were getting 5 months to enroll in this, so it wasn't no short notification thing or anything. They had 5 months. They were given 5 months notification, and it's the top 15 fighters in the WBC. So in their clean program, which will be done by Beta. Amir Khan did enroll, and he is expected to have his status as the number 1 contender in the WBC. I guess brought back, and it's going to be reflected in the rankings probably next month, not this month since they already released them. So probably reflected in the next month's. So
Danny Garcia is like, damn.
Yeah, we'll touch on Danny later, man. We not going to jump on that whole thing just yet. Let me get Big Cool's thoughts on the WBC clean testing program. What are your thoughts on it? Is it good for the sport of boxing?
It's great for the sport of boxing as long as, like you said, they're giving them proper notification ahead of time and, being very detailed with what they expect and what they require. I think it's great. Like EJ said, you got to get the 3 other boxing sanctions on board. And, then we'll really get somewhere. You putting the onus on these fighters. This is what's going to happen. You don't abide by these rules, you won't fight for a title. So you have to be 50-0, make all the money you want, but you won't be considered a champion. And I think that is going to make a lot of guys, get right and really abide by the rules, which is great. Anytime we can do anything to eliminate any cheating from PEDs and all that extra stuff is always good. So I like the concept. As long as they're doing it, the right way, it'll be good for boxing.
All right, and let me get you guys' thoughts on this. Why are some of these fighters, we see the names Francis Barthélemy, Lamont Peterson, Vanis Martirosyan, Yuricois Gamboa, Felix Verdejo. See, these are some of the names that have opted out. David Hay, even. Why do you think we're seeing these people opt out of this program for the green belt?
Lamont probably got the testosterone issues, so maybe that's why that's the reason for him. I can't speak on Barthélemy and David Hay and all the other guys, but maybe they just don't want to be forced to, be randomly drug tested or blood, tested. So maybe that's why. But if they want the most prestigious belt, or at least to fight for that belt, then they'll do it. But maybe they got to hide. I don't know. Got to ask those guys, but it's something there. If you don't got nothing to hide, you get tested randomly without any problem.
I think it's a situation. Some of those guys are ranked higher, probably in other belts. It's like if I'm ranked number 10 or number 12 by the WBC, but I'm ranked number 5 by the IBO, WBO, IBF, then that's the route that we're going to go. So I'm not, going to concern myself with the WBC. Like 2K, 2 and a K said.
Yeah.
Like 2K said, all four should do it. That way you would eliminate these guys thinking like that, because the problem is, and I do agree with Jasper, is that when you have guys getting dropped by the WBC and they know, hey, I'm ranked higher in the WBA, WBO, then you get guys who don't even concern themselves with it, but it does leave the question of, are you doing something? Because if not, why wouldn't you just say, well, I'm not ranked high in the WBC, but I'm going to enter the program anyway? So I do feel that all of the belts should have it like that, with the top 15 automatically in this program. So I definitely agree.
Yeah, to piggyback what y'all said, man, like, it could be a situation where on the outside, from our perspective looking at this, we could easily be like, oh, these guys don't want to be drug tested. Obviously, why would you not want to enroll into a organization that specializes in clean fighters? Or why would you not want to do that? If you ain't got nothing to hide, then why the fuck would you want to do that? But at the same time, there's always these little things that we're not privy to as guys that cover the sport, that the fighters, the managers, the organizations, they all get together and they talk about. And there could be little details within those talks that tells a fighter that they don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Or it gives them a bad notion of the whole idea of what the WBC is trying to do, and so they opt out. So I mean, it's easy to say motherfuckers just don't want to get tested because they're hiding something, but we don't really know what's going on the inside, man. So the only thing I can hope for is that these fighters actually do opt in. If this is something that the WBC is going to keep, and then if it does end up bleeding on to the other three major sanctioning bodies, then hopefully it'll be something that these fighters can look past and actually enroll in. Because if it becomes something that takes over the entire all four organizations, well then, hey, we got a problem here. We're gonna have a lot of fighters not wanting to fight, and that's not always good for boxing.
Well, David ain't got to worry about it, man, because he can get any type of fight. He just be jumping from fights. Supposed to fight Ruiz, and ain't gonna fight Bellew. So he ain't got to worry about it. He the only guy that ain't got to worry about getting a big fight. No title.
That's true. And that's another thing. That's funny you say that, because also we could be looking at a situation where titles may not fucking mean anything anymore. And that's not a route that I want to go towards. I like the whole idea of legacy, titles, accolades, that defines your legacy. Not big money fights. Fuck that. You do that for money. That's two different things, money and legacy. You know what I'm saying? So this could be a byproduct of what happens if a lot of fighters end up opting out. They're like, fuck it, I can still get big fights. I don't need your belt anyway. Don't rank me then. I'm still going to fight Canelo. You know what I'm saying? I'm still going to fight Triple G, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, man, so that's another thing that could be a byproduct of this, man. That's why I say it's a double-edged sword. You never know what could happen.
Money rules it, so, people got to get paid, especially in the sport of boxing. So regardless if they want to be a champion or not, somebody come offer you $5 million fight Golovkin, you're going to say, nah, I'm not going to fight him if it's not for the WBC title. Hell no, I'm going to sign that contract.
Right.
Yeah, you definitely do run the risk of the sanctioning belts being eliminated or being made useless, in the sport, if there's uniformity amongst the bodies, in doing this kind of thing. I think it's good for the sport to clean it up, and I'd like to see where it goes, but I personally think it's a good move by the WBC. It's always been held to, highly regarded and held to more, I guess, prestigious legend, So for them to be to take this bold step and to be the first to actually implement something like this for their top 15, I think is good for the sport. And for those, the WBC belt is a very prestigious belt, and like it would just show their dedication to the sport if it's something they still want to pursue. But like you said, there's going to be issues with them being highly rated in other organizations, so they might opt out and not want to deal with the year-round. Nobody knows what it's going to be. Like, is it year-round testing or in between fights, So, there's a lot still out there in the air about this program, and, we'll be paying attention to it. That leads us to our next topic, which is Chocalitito, Roman Gonzalez, who just won his fourth belt in a fourth division recently against Carlos Cuadras. It's looking like the fights that we want to see him in may not come to fruition, and it looks like it's over financial issues between the fighters. A lot of people want to see him fight Estrada again in a rematch, or Inoue and Estrada, and he's saying, there's no money in those fights, like there is in the Cuadras rematch, basically. Let me get your thoughts, Big Cool. What do you think about Chocalitito's stance right now? Hello?
My bad. I had myself on mute. My bad. He is a number one pound for pound fighter, so he definitely deserves to be paid like one. I mean, I don't know what they're offering him or what HBO is willing to give up, but he does have that right. He's been in a lot of tough fights. He's fought the best of the best, but I also think he knows Inoue probably gives him that work, and he wants to be well compensated before he steps in the ring with a guy as young and as skillful and powerful as him. And you said he's more likely to fight the rematch with Cuadras.
Yeah.
And so I guess he's satisfied with that money, or he's just more comfortable with that matchup. I mean, I don't see him getting more money fighting Cuadras than he would against Inoue or Estrada. That's just me. But I think it has to do with him being more comfortable with fighting Cuadras. Even though it's a tough fight, it's still something he's willing to put his body through. I don't think he's willing to go, for 12 rounds or less against Inoue, because we all know what Inoue possesses as a fighter. And I don't know how he feels about a rematch with Estrada. So I think he should get paid regardless, because he's earned it, and he is the pound-for-pound best fighter currently, whether we agree or not. So he has the right to, have a gripe with whoever it is negotiating on behalf of a potential opponent, and as well as HBO. So I think he should get a fair deal and make the fights that we want to see happen. Because either one of those three fights we'd love to see, but I definitely want to see Inoue first, and then Cuadras or Estrada. You can flip a coin. Let's see what happens after the Inoue fight.
All right. Bro, let me get your take on it, man.
Listen, I'm going to tell you what happened from my point of view. That man went home after that fight with Cuadras, sat down, looked at his paycheck, looked at his face, looked at his paycheck, looked back at his face, and he said, "This is bullshit. Y'all got to pay me to take these kind of risks." Okay? And that's exactly what happened in my mind. He sat down, looked at that paycheck, looked at his face, looked at that paycheck, looked at his face, then looked at the list of cats that's gunning for him. He said, no. Y'all got to come to big money, number one pound-to-pound fight. Okay? Y'all got to come with number one pound-for-pound fight money if you want me to fight these dudes. And the reality is, although I agree with Roman Gonzalez, but the reality is the lighter weight division have never been one of those divisions that have been, a money well as far as generating a lot of money or fighters making a lot of money. Okay, it just hasn't, and that's a cold hard reality that that Roman Gonzalez is going to have to come to terms with. But now, does he deserve to get some type of pay? Because I mean, let's face it, that fight with Cuadras, the world saw Roman Gonzalez. He even admitted after the fight this was the hardest fight of my life. The man looked like he was ready to go back to the dressing room and lay down and not move for days. Yeah. So, you know, when you're looking at, and somebody said this, I can't remember who said it, but when you're looking at guys like we talk about, Danny Garcia, you know, making X amount of dollars to fight, you know, these second, third tier guys. You know, when you're looking at, you know, these other guys, you know, making, you know, Lomachenko making what, $850K to fight Rocky Martinez. So when you're looking at guys making that kind of money, and you're ranked number one pound for, you're ranked higher than them, you're exciting than them, people love your fights. Okay, he reads, you know, hey, the thing about social media isn't every goddamn language. He knows what the fuck is being said and what's going on. And he's reading all this, and he's like, y'all got to come with something here. And I do not blame Roman Gonzalez for that. Now, the only problem is he has to be realistic about what he's asking for, because, again, the lower weight divisions generally, historically, have never been one that's been a well full of money. Yeah. That's why these guys fight each other the way they fight, because the only, you know, the lower weight division remind me of how old school boxing was. Back in the old days, guys fought the top guys because that was the only way to make money, and that's kind of what the lower weight divisions is like. Guys have to fight each other because that's the only way they can generate making some money. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but I definitely agree with him, but he has to be more realistic about what he thinks he should be getting.
HBO, but let me jump in real quick before 2K take off. I think HBO has to be realistic, too. They came and got him. I'm pretty sure it was mutual interest from both sides, but they approached him. They offered him something. And you got to, you know, even though we all know that the lower weight class doesn't make the big money that some of the, you know, bigger weight classes, it's a new day and era. So I don't think you should punish Chocalitito or Clarges or whoever it is, the top guy, for, you know, some shit that's 20 years ago. I mean, 2016, HBO hasn't really been having a lot of big fights anyway, so I don't see why they can't cut the check to make the fight happen if they really want it to happen. They pursuing,
I agree.
You know, Gonzalez, they pursuing Inoue, so they need to respect him, because at the end of the day, he got to get in the ring. He got to fight those guys. He got to, you know, and by him doing that, he's bringing more ratings, more money into HBO's budget, so they need to cut a bigger check and respect him as the pound-for-pound best guy going, and that's just simple as that. That's just my opinion.
No, you know what? I agree, because one thing I always say is no one can determine how much a fight is worth until you actually make that fight. So until you actually make that fight, you can't predict what you think a fight is worth before you actually make that fight. So I definitely agree with you that, you know, HBO is, and we know the fact that we know about the history of their budget, we definitely know that what Roman, and I'm glad he said it, because what Roman Gonzalez is talking about, this ain't PBC, okay, guys? This ain't, you know, Top Rank or anything like that. HBO is having some money issues over here to where here's another guy, top guy, Roman Gonzalez, complaining about, listen, you know, y'all trying to treat me like a chump over here. And this has been the story with them as far as, you know, that's why we didn't get the Rigo and Lomachenko fight, the Walters and Lomachenko fight. Why Curtis Stevens, we didn't get him versus David Lemieux. Money. And they got to come up off of it. I agree.
Yep. Let me go ahead and pass it over to 2K. Let me, I guess, let me see, how do I want to say this? Do you think this is kind of like HBO's, you know, getting kicked in the butt, you know, getting, you know, this coming back to bite them, basically, from what they've showed Chocalitito recently, financial-wise? Do you think this is a result of that, him being spoiled, possibly, or them, you know, this possibly fighting them back in, you know, in the rear end?
Well, I mean,
monetary demands for these fights.
I don't know about all that, and honestly, I really don't care. If it is, it is. If it's not, it's not. I mean, the point being here is that this is a guy that's been on the pound-for-pound list for almost 28 months, okay? And the majority of that time, he's been the number one fighter on the pound-for-pound list. And you see a lot of motherfuckers that are not even on the pound-for-pound list getting paid way more ducats than him, or what he would call the Cordoba. You know what I'm saying? That's what they call their currency in Nicaragua. So, I mean, give him his money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I agree with what Bo said, and I agree with what Big Cool said. You know, basically, my man looked at his face after the Quadras fight and said, "Yo, this shit ain't gonna cut it." They probably gave my man some pennies, and based on his face, it looked like he should have been getting some hundreds. You know what I'm saying? And he saw that shit and was like, "Nah, this ain't gonna cut it." And then you want me to fight a rematch against a guy that was one of my biggest tests before Quadras and Juan Francisco Estrada. And then also you want me to fight a guy that could possibly fucking beat me in Inoue and Estrada for the same amount of dollars, or at least in the same range of the amount of dollars, man. Nah, man. So, you know, I'm the type of guy that I hate when fighters ask for money. I hate when fighters, and I agree that, you know, boxers need to get paid, but sometimes they get out of hand, like, you know, Daniel Eugene Rutherford Jacobs. My man has asked for $25 trillion, you know what I'm saying, to fight Triple G. I hate that shit, you know what I'm saying, especially when your number is called. You know, Floyd Mayweather, he didn't ask for $25 trillion to fight Oscar De La Hoya. His fucking number was called, and he knew that in order to beat that man, he had to be great, so he took what he took. And he gave Oscar De La Hoya the opportunity to get whatever he wanted just so he could get that fight. All right? And this is the scenario here. Now, Roman Gonzalez has already proved himself multiple times. He's jumping up all over to so many different weight classes. He's beating all these motherfuckers. He's already proved himself. So he's not in that category. That's why I give him a pass for asking for money. Because, like I said, 28 months on the pound-for-pound list, the majority of that time, you're number one, and you see cats at number 8, 9, 7, 6, 5, 4 getting paid way more money than you. Yeah, you need some money. He needs some Cordobas. Give him his Cordobas now.
Or you see guys that he's sharing fight cards with, fight, you know, guys that's way below their level getting paid, what, $1.2, $2 million, $3 million to fight, you know, cab drivers or school bus drivers. I mean, come on, man. Like, I don't want to hear that lower weight class BS about them. Like, you know, that's bullshit. That's a cop-out.
Like Danny Garcia, I mean, I agree with the lower weight class thing. That is true. It does not generate a lot of money. But this is a guy that's being pushed by HBO, okay? Danny Garcia has not headlined any pay-per-views, okay? He was on the undercard of Mayweather-Canelo. He's in the same fucking boat as Roman Gonzalez as far as what he has done in the ring, as far as, like, how do I say, like, headlining pay-per-views, headlining main events, things of that nature. He's in the same boat, okay? And he's not even on the fucking pound-for-pound list. He's not in the top 10. But he's getting paid way more money than Roman Gonzalez, who's number one and been there for a while now. Get that man his money, man. Stop bullshit. Give him his money. Real talk.
Not to mention the fact you're talking about, you talking about a guy that has won multiple championships. Like, that's what I say. See, that Quadras fight was huge in the way, because up until that Quadras fight, Roman Gonzalez probably wasn't even talking like this. But after that Quadras fight and how hard it was for him, he said, whoa, wait a minute, because like you said, Terrence Crawford, and I like Terrence Crawford, but Terrence Crawford got $1.2 million to fight fucking Lundy. Yeah. You know, it's like, you got what to fight who? you know
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, wait a minute, you got what to fight who? So, Gennady Golovkin, well, I think he got what, $2 million, $2.5 million to fight Dominic Wade, and Dominic Wade got $500. And Dominic Wade got $500K. Okay, so like you said, I'm looking at this man went to that dressing room, dog, and he looked at his face. He looked at that paycheck, and he said, it's I forget it, but it's a little short film where they show Ray John Rondo. When he looked at what the fuck, and that's what he did. He looked at his face, looked at that paycheck, and said, oh hell no, y'all got to do better than this. I just went through a war.
He gonna pull a Victor Ortiz without he gonna quit boxing instead. And I don't think I'm cut out for this. I'm gonna keep looking like this and getting paid peanuts. I just walk out the door, man, because I mean he's a Hall of Famer, so I mean.
Well, he definitely deserves money.
Like it was mentioned already, historically those weight classes have never been made a lot of money financially. Michael Carbajal might have been the only cat that was making millions for to fight in that division, and he was an anomaly. You know what I'm saying?
But
what
I mean,
Chocalitito is doing now is still a big milestone for those weight classes.
But nobody never made $300+ million neither until somebody made it. So I mean, you got
Carbajal wasn't being pushed like Roman Gonzalez. So you're right, that is an anomaly. But at the same time, Roman Gonzalez is being pushed much more than Carbajal was. So he deserves more than Carbajal does. That's why I'm 100% behind him. Even though I'm a dude that 100% hate fighters that ask for money. I hate it, but I gotta agree with him on this. And every way you look at it, it all points in his favor. Any which way you look at it.
Okay, I'm gonna be calling him soon after the last fight deal. You'll give him some money.
Yeah.
So and it just makes you wonder what are the other factors too, because he's saying his low ball offers. Is it coming from the other promoters, or is that including HBO? Like, it just makes you wonder, as far as the actual talks, because I would believe HBO would be putting up the money for these fights anyway. So I'm not sure where a lot of this talk comes from,
Got to be from HBO, man. Got to be.
All right, but that leads us to our next topic. Do we really want to go into this one?
Yes, we do.
We got another babysitter. We got a babysitter. Billy Joe Saunders,
peanut butter
WBC champion right now. Yeah, he's been injured again somehow. He was supposed to be fighting soon, and he's had to postpone his first title defense, which was supposed to be taking place on the 22nd of this month. Is now going to be taking place in November against Arthur Akavov. I'll start with you, Gary. I know you got something to say.
Bro.
Hold on. Wait a minute. To all our listeners, put the children to sleep, put the women in their room.
No G-rated right here. This is not G-rated. Yeah,
no, it's not at all.
It's about to go.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Word up. As y'all know, on my channel, The Gods of Boxing Talk, I have gone in on Billy Joe Saunders, a.k.a. the Peanut Butter Hand Man, for so many videos, man. And the reason why I call him the Peanut Butter Hand Man is because basically that's what he be doing in his off time. This motherfucker be at his house with his feet propped up, making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches instead of being in the fucking ring. That's all he does. I can't stand this dude. Now, a lot of cats know that Adonis Stevenson was a guy that I couldn't stand for a very long time. And he was a guy that took the title of, people I can't stand and was running with it. But Billy Joe has crept up on him, kind of like Usain Bolt does motherfuckers in the 100-meter dash. Just crept up on him and just pretty much just swept him in this scenario, man, when it comes to that title. I can't stand this dude. What is he really doing? Okay? First you're supposed to fight who was the first dude on the docket? It was Gabe Rosado. All right. I know Willie McCallum was thrown in there. Okay. Then you got this last guy. Then they were talking about Chris Eubank Jr. before that. Then he's priced himself out against Golovkin. And then Golovkin gets exposed. Now he's like, all right, I'll take less money. Get the fuck out of here, bro. What are you really trying to do?
Don't forget Stevens and Daniel Rutherford Jacobs.
Yeah. Daniel Eugene Rutherford Jacobs, another cat. You know what I'm saying? They make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches together. I mean, this shit don't make no sense, B. Like, I honestly, man, they need to strip this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Because it don't look to me like he's willing to fight the best. All right, to be the number one guy at 160, much like what Daniel Jacobs did in his interview with, I think, Barbershop Conversations. He basically said, yeah, well, I'm number 2 in the division. You know what I'm saying? Just basically conceded to the idea that he's the number 2 guy behind Gennady Golovkin. Billy Joe is doing the same fucking thing. He's just basically like, well, you got to give me a whole lot of money before I actually say, hey, I'm number 2, or I actually go out there and lay down as the number 2 or the number 3 guy. Man, these dudes are chumps. Take the belt from around the waist of these cats. And like I said earlier, man, I don't ever root for dudes to lose. I don't never go to a boxing match or go, turn on my TV and watch a boxing match and say, yeah, I can't wait for that motherfucker to lose. But when it comes to Billy Ho, a.k.a. the Peanut Butter Hand Man, I can't wait for this motherfucker to get knocked out, B. Why, Andy Lee, why the fuck did you have to lose, B? Damn, man.
Really, though. Really.
Yeah, Billy Joe Saunders.
Let me go ahead and pass it over to Bo on this one. Let me get your thoughts on Billy Ho.
The women and children still better stay in their motherfucking room. Let me tell you something. Me and Bernard, we was doing that thing with cats babysitting belts. There was Bramer. Okay, he's fuck going. We finally got rid of his ass. Okay, at least Adonis Stevens fought recently. I think the guy he fought not too long ago was a top dude. The only cat that Adonis wasn't trying to too much get in there, and we could argue back and forth who was Sergey Kovalev. Okay, Billy Joe Saunders. It's amazing to me how what people got to understand about us on this show, we refuse to give motherfuckers excuses that we won't give ourselves. I cannot accept you telling me or calling yourself a goddamn champion and you ain't done shit since you won the belt. Say what you want to say about Danny Garcia and the opposition. Say what you want to say about Deontay Wilder and his opposition. But at least these motherfuckers is getting in the ring and fighting. Who in the fuck has Billy Joe Saunders, who the fuck does Joe Saunders think he is to determine who's worthy of his title shot? Okay? Gabriel Rosado, dude with 9 losses or 10 losses or whatever. You didn't want to fight him. Willie Monroe didn't want to fight him. Stevens didn't want to fight him. Jacobs didn't want to fight him. Billy Joe Saunders is kind of reminding me of Antonio Tarver when he beat Roy Jones. Billy Joe acts like he wants to live off that victory against Andy Lee for the rest of his goddamn life. And that's some bullshit. Okay? That is some straight up bullshit. And he's lucky he's from the UK, because if he was in America, he couldn't get away with that shit. Motherfuckers would be on his ass. Okay?
Well, he had no fans anyway.
They're right. They would be on his ass. All right? I'm not even going to lie. Everybody know how I feel about Dan Rafael, but guess what? I was behind Dan Rafael when he was fucking with Billy Joe Saunders.
So was I.
What the hell, yeah. Fuck with him. Fuck with him. Fuck with that motherfucker. Because the only thing he can come back to you is about your weight. That's how I know you a bitch. Because if the only thing you can talk about when this dude is dropping his facts is about his personal looks, that tells me you know he's telling you the fucking truth. And that's what Billy Joe Saunders is doing. He's holding on to a belt because he's happy to be a champion. He doesn't care about being a fighting champion. He doesn't care about being a good representation champion. You stand there, look like you was inside of a fucking trailer home with your belt off your shoulders, pointing at that camera, telling Gennady Golovkin you saw holes in his game. Well, guess what, Billy Joe? I see holes all over your body, motherfucker. Okay, when you hurt yourself, you hurt your coochie, did you fall and hit your coochie or some shit? What happened, Billy? I mean, I just want to know what happened because, again, it irks me and it bothers me when cats talk tough. When you talk that big boss talk and you ain't about that life, that pisses me the fuck off, okay? And that just bothers me to no end. Just like, you know, we all know that when we be in these rooms and cats talk that talk, we be like, man, we have to step back because I know you ain't about that life. Billy Joe Saunders talk that big boss talk with that video and don't even fight just somebody. No, man, I can't wait till I'm with y'all. I can't wait till he get his ass dusted so we can get him the fuck out the picture and move on to the next one.
All right, let me get your thoughts on this, Big Cool. What's going on with this situation with the WBO and Billy Joe Saunders, man? What needs to happen here?
First off, before I get into my rant, Billy Ho, when you hear this, you might as well go and send EJ your address because you're going to talk shit back to him. You're going to call him something, and he's going to his address. So you might as well go on, send the address out. We'll all fly out there, wherever you're staying at, and we'll put this on because this shit would be funny. But seriously, man, I can't stand this motherfucker, man. I'm mad at Andy Lee, and I like Andy Lee, but he lost to this motherfucker. I mean, dude is just pathetic. You want to fucking sign, or you want to say you're going to sign the contract after a welterweight had the balls to step in there and fight Triple G when you should have been done it. You don't want to fight Stevens, a guy you could beat. You don't want to fight Jacobs, a guy you can beat, I guess. I mean, you don't even want to fight the guy he's supposed to beat. I mean, injured or not, I mean, I don't know what the ailment is. I don't know how bad it is. But guys fight, hurt a lot of the time. Being hurt and injured is two different things. If it's a little simple ailment, he could have fought this guy. If he's the best middleweight in the world, he could have fought the guy with whatever it was and dominate him. But now he's pushing back a meaningless fight, even further back that nobody want to see, all because of a funky-ass injury he probably fucking sustained by hearing Triple G's name and fucking tripped over a chair or something. But, I mean, the motherfucker, he pathetic. I don't ever want to see him, fight for real. He playing a game of duck, duck, goose. And he's going to get, it's going to catch up with him. Somebody going to beat his ass, whether it's in the ring or one of the disgruntled fans that finally see the light and knock his ass out. But, I mean, he a joke. The middleweight division is a joke. Jacobs a joke. He a joke.
Yep.
Bellew, all these guys being jokes, man. So the middleweight division just a bunch of suckers, a bunch of – I ain't never seen that many fucking boxers that's keyboard, warriors for real. You know what I'm saying? We talk the shit. You would think that we'd be the ones to back down if challenged. These motherfuckers get paid to fight. Been amateurs, been fighting for most of their life, and these motherfuckers get quiet as fuck when they get a contract. So, fuck Billy Ho Sanders in the middleweight division, man, because they all whack.
Just remember, these are top 15 guys that Saunders was turning down, and Monroe Jr., Stevens, and Rosado. And, he picked the number 11 guy, Akavov, that nobody's heard of, So that kind of shows his character.
He's number 12.
Exactly. and that kind of shows his character.
He's a stunt double for the fucking X-Men. That's who he is.
But in this case, I think we need to see the WBO enforce his mandatory now, because I know Kurt Seedy, he wants Triple G. He's been on record saying he'll fight him. He wants to fight. So WBO make that mandatory happen with Billy Ho and Kurt Seedy. So we can get the title into a belt holder that really wants to do something with it. That's just my take on it. With that, we'll go ahead and go into our next topic, which was kind of led into a little bit another middleweight topic. We have the WBO consolidation of title between Gennady Golovkin and Daniel Eugene Rutherford Jacobs III. We got a whole lot going on with the situation. Recently, Daniel Jacobs' side put in for a purse bid amendment, or a split amendment on the purse bid with the WBA. The super champ gets 75%, and the lower end guy gets 25%. So Jacobs' team asked for an amendment of that split, and it got rejected by the WBA. And now, the fight that was proposed for December 10th, looking like that neither guy is going to fight again this year because they can't come together on the money. I'll go ahead and start off with Bo on this one. Let me get your thoughts on this, man.
Okay. Wow. People are quick to throw that word duck out there. Now, let me tell you why I'm not ready to call this a duck just yet. And I'm not going to disagree with anybody that is going to call it that. I have not heard what the numbers are. I have not heard what the figures are. Okay? And I'm saying that because if he's turning down his highest purse, anywhere from $1.5 to $2 million, which was his highest purse up to $2 million. Now, if he's turning that down or he's trying to get amendments for that to get more, then I have a problem with it. But if it's a situation where this man may not make no more than $750K, I don't blame him for saying, no, I'm not going to take this fight for that much, because if you want me to take the risk, you have to pay me. This reminds me, and I want people to go back, when Mike Tyson was running through heavyweights, Don King had to make sure that he was paying these challengers a little bit more than normal money to get them getting their ring with Mike Tyson. That's the only way they would do that. And that's what this is a situation where Gennady Golovkin is. They may have to come with terms that, listen, we're going to just have to pay somebody. I'm not saying pay nobody ridiculous amounts, but make somewhat of a decent to fair offer. So if the guy turns it down, okay. But since I haven't heard the numbers or the figures, it's hard for me to say that Daniel Jacobs is ducking. But I will, however, say I didn't like the fact that they was asking for an interim fight like right away. I didn't like that. And then I don't like the fact that they're talking about, well, it's too close for the fight, not enough time in training camp. When you're fighting, you're training all year round. Okay, when you sat there and you called Gennady Golovkin's name, you should have been training right then. So it's like I said, it's to me it's fuckery on both sides, but it's more fuckery on Daniel Jacobs' side as far as I'm concerned. But I only understand some of it because again, if it's about you not getting the right amount of money, first I don't see why this even went to first bid. If they could have agreed 70-30 split, something like that, and X amount of dollars, then fine. But I'm on record as saying I do not believe this fight is worth some $3 million. This fight is worth more than some $3 million because I've told people there are ways you promote a fight. And I hate to say this, but I say it all the time. There are three types of fights that promote that make money. Rivalry fights, young undefeated fighters, and race fights. And when you have something like that, you can promote it. Daniel Jacobs and Gennady Golovkin can make about $5 to $6 million, or purse-wise. I'm sorry. You put that fight anywhere, it would fill up because this would be the first valuable name on his resume. So you may have to pay him, but the problem is, again, by going to purse bid, it's 75-25. Daniel Jacobs screwed himself, to me, when after he beat Peter Quillin, his stock went up. And instead of him doing something to continue his stock to rise, which is fighting Curtis Stevens, Monroe, De La Rosa, David Lemieux. Yep. Instead of him doing that, he fought Sergio Morta too. 2K says this all the time. Boxing is a sport of what have you done for me lately.
Absolutely.
Okay? When Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao was negotiating that fight, Floyd said, okay, let's take my 900 numbers. Let's take your 300 numbers. I did better. Let's talk. Since Daniel Jacobs fought Sergio Morta for the second time, it dropped him as far as people standing and looking at him, and it stopped. And you only hold the WBA regular bet, so you have nothing coming to the table. If he could have fought as Curtis Stevens or David Lemieux or any one of those other dudes instead of Sergio Morta, he had something going to the table. So, like I said, man, it's a tricky situation, but Daniel Jacobs put himself in it because he made some bad moves, man.
Let me go ahead and give it over to Big Cool on this one. What's your thoughts on the whole situation and now the fight being postponed until next year? It's looking like because of the money.
Man, look, I don't know what the money is, so I'll try to refrain from calling him a ducker. Daniel Jacobs, man, he ain't fought nobody since he fought Pierre, and that's just being true. I mean, dude talks a lot. You called out Golovkin. Golovkin ain't called out you. You called him out after you knocked out Sergio Mora, and I'm thinking, okay, the fight gonna get made this year. And now you want an interim fight. You want $25 trillion, $25 million, whatever it is. You want all this shit that you probably don't even deserve. I don't want to. No, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna put a value on what his worth is, but he doesn't, in my opinion, deserve more than 2.5, maybe 3 for this fight because he really hasn't proved himself. I mean, when he stepped up in competition, he got knocked out, and people can say, well, he had cancer, he just didn't know it, or whatever.
Nah,
it is.
fuck that.
You know what I'm saying?
That.
No excuses. And my thing is, I don't know if I said it to y'all. My thing is, if you beat cancer, you should not be afraid to fight no man. You shouldn't be afraid anyway, but you beat cancer.
Well, that's the problem right there. He's not being offered that $2 million, that $2.5 million.
Trillion.
It's not yet.
Well, shit. Well, I mean, if he thinking he's gonna get $2.5 trillion, then he gonna be waiting until the world ends. That shit is never gonna happen. I mean, look, man, he fought Ruiz, he fought Mora, and he fought Quillin. I'll give him Quillin. I mean, honestly, Bo, you say they can make $5 or $6 million a person. Man, look, I don't see it. The only way I see Jacobs beating Golovkin is if he doing like he did Quillin. Other than that, we know his chin weak. When Mora drops you, your chin weak. And, you know what I'm saying? He already been knocked out. So he has no chance. I used to think he was the future of the middleweight division when he first came up. But, no, man, he don't got it. I mean, Golovkin fine with waiting because he's going to whoop his ass if they fought the 10th of this year or December or whenever they fight next year. I mean, Jacobs just don't want to be great, man. Put it like that. Al has for some of these fighters, man, and I kind of feel what Floyd was saying when he said these guys had to earn it. I mean, he had to earn it. None of these guys want to earn nothing. They just want everything to be given to them.
Yep.
And we pay as fans, you know, from seeing these lackluster matchups, and that's where the criticism towards PBC, you know, comes from, because Al made, I'm not trying to get off subject, but Al has made them, he's entitled them, he spoiled them, and now he can't really get them back on the right path, so he has to keep going and try to beg these guys to fight. So he got to throw huge amounts of money for these guys to even consider fighting a decent fighter. So, I mean, Jacobs, Golovkin might happen. I doubt it, because they'll build up some guy that Jacobs can fight. But I agree with Bo. He should have fought Steven. He could have had some more, you know, pull at the negotiation table and say, look, you beat Stevens in 8. I beat him in 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
He wasn't thinking that way. He just want money, money, money.
Yep.
And, you know, I don't know, man. Fuck him, man. You could take it, EJ. Or 2K, my Hey, blame that on Jacobs, man. That's him.
For the listeners out there, if y'all haven't been hearing throughout the whole damn podcast, my man has been calling me by my government. Everybody knows now 2K is EJ. Let the record know. God damn, man.
Oh, wow. You know,
all right,
brother, wait a minute, man. Before you...
This shit don't make no sense, man.
All I was going to say... Shit, I forgot what I was going to say. Go ahead, man.
Nah, but I agree with both sides, man. Both of y'all made some good points, man, and I'm kind of going to start, you know, I'm going to give arguments on both sides. Danny Jacobs' side, man, you can't expect to pay a guy less money for a bigger fight than what he made in his biggest fight of his career prior to that against Peter Quillen. Apparently he made over $1 million against Peter Quillen, and I'm hearing numbers like 700, 800, 900K being thrown out there for a fight against Gennady Golovkin. That's a no-no, you know what I'm saying? But on the other hand, on Gennady Golovkin's part, which I 100% side with, and a lot of motherfuckers criticize me a little bit on this, but hey, it is what it is. You got a guy who's being promised 75% by the sanctioning body in which he holds a belt in, okay? Which he holds the only belt that really fucking matters in, right? The WBA Super, right? They said, hey, if you want to fight, or if the WBA regular champion wants to fight you, we only going to get him 25%. You get 75% if this goes to purse bid, okay? Now, put yourself in Gennady Golovkin's shoes, everybody. Bo, I'll go to you. Put yourself in Gennady Golovkin's shoes, dog. You're being told by the WBA organization that, hey, you get 75% if this fight goes to purse bid. What the fuck you going to do? You going to let it go to purse bid because you can get your biggest chunk of money. So, essentially, what Danny Jacobs is hoping for, right, is hoping for Gennady Golovkin to give him a bone. Well, why the fuck would he do that? Why would he say, yo, you know what? Fuck what the WBA says. I'm going to give you a little bit of my money. No! That's not how we do shit. He's not going to do that. He wants a 75%. Okay? Now, I do agree. 60-40 is it's good. Nothing wrong with that. Okay? Because as far as I'm fucking concerned, neither fighter has done shit. Gennady Golovkin's got 2 titles that were given to him and one that he fought for. Okay? Against a guy that's actually, in my opinion, had already gotten his ass whooped twice. So he really ain't done shit anyway. But at the same time, the rules are the fucking rules. If the WBA says, yo, 75-25, then yeah, he's going to wait it out. So I can't get mad at Gennady Golovkin for waiting it out, okay? But, again, Danny Jacobs, dog, your number is being called. And I said this plenty of times when I went in on my video about Danny Jacobs. Your number is being called, nigga. You know what I'm saying? And then he told barbershop conversations, yeah, I'm number 2 in the division. No, motherfucker, you don't say that in the media. You tell them, no, I'm number 1. You got to beat me, dog. I'm the best. Then when you get backstage off camera, you can be like, well, shit, I ain't fighting that nigga till they pay me $100 million trillion. That's when you say that. You know what I'm saying, dog? So for the motherfucker to actually come out in the media and tell us that he's scared of him, okay, we already know what the deal is. So why would we fight for Danny Jacobs as fans? Fuck that. He needs to get in the ring, take 25%, you know what I'm saying? Beat this dude and get your money on the back end. Just like Floyd Mayweather had to do against Diego Corrales, just like Floyd Mayweather had to do against Arturo Gatti. And by the way, in that scenario, Floyd Mayweather didn't even get all his money from Barbarian. He had to sue that motherfucker later on for the rest of his money, okay? And then what he had to do against Oscar De La Hoya, he got in a ring with these motherfuckers for whatever face purse, which was less than his opponent, even though he was better than them, beat the shit out of them, and got their money, and got his money on the back end. That's the problem I got with these dudes today, bro. They don't know shit about legacy before money. They see what Floyd Mayweather has done, and they omit what he had to do to get to where he was at right before he retired. It's like they forget the Gennaro Hernandez's, the Luis Castillo's, the Diego Corrales, the Philip Nadal, the Charmaine Mitchells. They forget about all those guys, okay? They just say, nah, this nigga made, $300 million against Manny Pacquiao. Shit, I could at least make $2 million. No, you can't, motherfucker, because you ain't done it.
Them 2 dudes earn that shit, man. Them 2 dudes earn that shit. Like he said, and I've been saying it for a minute, man. They focusing on Money Mayweather's career, the second half. They not focusing on Pretty Boy. Pretty Boy can fight anybody, anywhere. He fought in Boston. He fought in Connecticut. I mean, he fought everybody. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then you can ease off the gas. Once you get there, okay, now I made that first $3-4 million. Okay, but I'm still challenging myself. And then you can really capitalize. But I mean, some of these guys ain't gonna be anyway. Like he said, you're not gonna be Floyd. I mean, Jacobs. I don't know. And look at Cotto. Cotto wasn't. He great fighter, but he didn't make as much as Floyd, but he made enough. You know what I'm saying? He made enough.
$15 million against Canelo.
$8 million or whatever it is. I mean, look. You gotta know you're not gonna. Floyd is a one in the lifetime fighter that's gonna get $300 million. Ain't nobody else get that.
And you're right. And even Cotto. Let's say he was looking at Cotto, because Cotto at the time was the middleweight champion of the world, right? Let's say he was looking at Cotto Canelo and was like, yeah, damn, Cotto made $15 million, Canelo made $5 million. Both them motherfuckers did more than you, bro. You still can't get that money, dog.
You know what?
Hold on. Cotto is a champion in 4 different weight divisions. Okay, Canelo, although some of them motherfuckers was broke down and beat up and old as shit and had arthritis, like Shane Mosley, he still fought them motherfuckers, dog. Off the Trout and Eric Landilor and Floyd Mayweather. Who has Danny Jacobs fought, dog? Dimitri Pirog knocked your bitch ass out, okay? After that, you fought a cat named Jesse Orta. You fought a guy named Robert Cleaver, Josh Luterin, Chris Fitzpatrick. Who are these niggas? Keenan Collins? Who are
fight Caleb Truex though, man. He fought Caleb Truex. Chill out though, for real.
Caleb Truex for the WBA title, man. Or that was a title defense. Sorry, my bad. For the vacant title, where he became champion, he fought Jared Fletcher. Get the fuck out of here, bro. You ain't getting no money, dog. No money, dog. You get no money, dog.
Well, I think I think what you also got to understand, a lot of guys got to understand is Floyd, up into Oscar, Floyd was taking low money. When he fought Arturo Gatti took the lion's share of them dollars.
And that's what I said.
Not Flores.
And he didn't even get all his money, dog. Like, Bob Arum jerked him. You know what I'm saying? He only got a portion of his purse. That's why he was. That was the Zab Judah fight. That was the Zab Judah fight. The Zab Judah fight. He got it off. It was Arturo Gatti. I don't know about Zab Judah, but I know for a fact it was the Arturo Gatti because Floyd Mayweather mentioned it in an interview that he did not get all his money for the Arturo Gatti fight. He mentioned it in an interview. So I know he was suing him for that. So even if Arturo Gatti did get the lion's share, he still didn't even get all his money for that fight. That's what I'm saying. And he still went on, to fight other guys and got money on the back end. That's how you do this shit. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm done because I could go all day on this.
you gotta look at it like this too. Supposedly the numbers that he made $1.5 million against Peter Quillen. That's just something I've seen floating around.
I agree.
Now, you look at the money that HBO's putting out there, which I don't think would be any more than $4 million for this fight, as far as purse-wise that they will put out. So you give him 25% of that, that's $1 million. Like you know what I'm saying? You get where the 75-25 is unfair. You know, so he's made more than that. Which I don't think the $4 million is really there, considering the other stuff HBO is putting out the rest of the year. I think that was just money they had at first when Canelo pulled out initially of his fight with an injury. But let's say they have $4 million tops to do it. That's not enough. You're giving Gennady $3 million of that if it goes to purse bid, and Jacob's only $1 million. I mean, the 60-40 is actually fair, and this you can't expect them to make less. Than he has fight, and
I agree
that's
with
just
that.
an unfair expectation. As far as Jacobs and his interim fight shit, he needs to go to hell with that one. If that's true, like what the hell was more? That definitely was an interim match. You don't need any more interim anythings. Get your ass in there and fight somebody, nigga.
That motherfucker tired. He fight Golovkin. That's what he gonna do.
But
that's what he's trying to do.
Our next topic, man. We might run over time today, but we gonna see how it rides out. Danny Garcia's fight was announced finally. I guess over this past week. Now nobody really cares about his opponent in this interim fight that he's having. What was announced is that he'll be fighting Keith Thurman after this, and it's signed for March of next year. So, I guess let me get your thoughts, fellas, on Danny's interim fight that he's having now and the announcement of the Keith Thurman fight that happened in the first quarter of 2017. And just to put it out there, his opponent will be Samuel Vargas for his fight on November 12th. I'll go ahead and start with TK on this one.
Man, you're doing this on purpose, man. You just giving me all this fuel for this podcast, man. Like, I'm not gonna go too hard on him, man. I've got multiple videos out on my channel about Danny Garcia being a cherry picker. The world already knows he's a cherry picker. But I did say prior to this fight, and I think Bo and Bernard mentioned it as well on their video. If the Thurman fight is set in stone, I have no problem with this fight. Mind you, this fight came out before the Thurman fight was set in stone. So, of course, like anybody else, I was getting ready to go at Danny Garcia's neck. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck is this? First it was, I didn't agree with the Andre Berto fight. Okay, then after that it was, John Molina Jr. Then you had Eddie Hearn releasing a tweet talking about some goddamn Sam Eggington. You know what I'm saying? And then it was Samuel Vargas. And it's like, what is, it's not what is he doing. We already know what he's doing because his dad told Fight Hype. He already told us on camera what he's trying to do. He said, why would we fight a Keith Thurman when we could get the same type of money fighting a Rod Selker? And that's summarized. So his dad already told us what they're trying to do. So it wasn't a situation where I was like, what is he trying to do with? Why are we allowing this motherfucker to get away with it? You know what I'm saying? But not too much later, news came out that the Keith Thurman fight was signed for March of next year, I believe. So as much as I was fuming, out of my ears, out of my nose, you know what I'm saying? As soon as I heard that, all that shit got calmed down. I was like, okay, cool, fight about to happen, fuck it then. Go ahead and beat this bum, you know what I'm saying, and then get knocked out possibly by Keith Thurman. I'm good, you know what I'm saying? Now, actually, I'm not going to say who I think wins that fight, but that's a closer fight than people actually believe. There's a lot of people jumping the gun in that fight. But anyway, I think it's a passable fight now. Let's just hope that a scenario of Josecito Lopez versus Victor Ortiz doesn't happen when Victor Ortiz is supposed to fight Canelo and then he fucked around and got his jaw broken. Let's hope that type of shit doesn't happen and fucks up the fight between Garcia and Thurman.
All right, let me get your take on it, though. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this. I'm glad that it's a situation where he is gonna fight Keith Thurman. I mean, that's the only thing that's to me that's saving face for him, because I was all over him saying, how can you justify fighting a dude that Earl Spence knocked out, giving him a shot, and then not giving Earl Spence a shot? And then we find out that this is going to be a non-title fight, which is even worse to me. So not only are you giving the dude a shot, you're not even defending your title. But like I said, if he fights Keith Thurman, then, all right, it is what it is. But Danny Garcia catch a lot of flack, just like 2K said, because his father already gave us the secret. He told us the secret, which is, hey, man, listen, we've done what we wanted to do at 140. Now it's just about us making money. And that's the reason why people come down on him. But if he fights Keith Thurman next year, now granted, keep in mind, if for some reason something happens, he don't fight Keith Thurman, oh, man, Danny Garcia is going to be in for a world of hurt.
All right. Very cool. Your thoughts on Danny and his current fight against Samuel Vargas and the possible bout that's looking like it's been signed already for March against Keith Thurman.
Man, I'm good on Danny Garcia. I don't care if he fights Thurman next. Of course, that's a fight I want to see. But man, he need to be fighting better guys than this. I don't care if you got a Keith Thurman fight lined up next. I ain't saying go fight Sean Porter, but damn, Vargas. I'm good on Danny Garcia, man. He a joke now. He used to be, he a joke. Man, next time, I'm good on him. I'm tired of fighters being like this. I mean, we know we're in it for money, but, man, don't come back and say that stupid shit like that, man. Like, I hope he get his ass beaten by Vargas. I don't care if the fight with Thurman don't happen because of it, because when you start being a fuck nigga, that's what fuck nigga shit happen to you. So I hope he lose, and I don't care about, y'all, you're supposed to want to see these big fights. Well, we should be able to see the big fights without having to go through all these loops, man. So I hope Vargas win decisively, and he gets the Thurman match. So, because this shit bullshit, man, for real. Like I said, next topic, man. You can talk about it, because I'm good on Garcia.
I mean, I'll go ahead and put my take on it, man. I think Garcia gets a lot of criticism somewhat unfairly. I'm saying, like, he has milked his 140 fame a little bit too much. But you got to think this is also his first defense of his title. Like, he hasn't defended it yet. It could have been somebody else better. Probably the top 15 opponent I would have been cool with a defense with. For his first title defense. But if this is going to make for a big fight next year, I'm all for it, man. Danny's resume speaks for itself.
He fought Paulie and Guerrero. I mean, shit. Them motherfuckers watched him.
He's but they were still top of the division guys when he fought them. You can't use that against them if they still in the top
Not
of the
Paulie.
division.
I won't say Paulie. I'll give you Guerrero, but Paulie wasn't. Man,
but he didn't choose the WBC set that up. We can't fault him for having a fight Guerrero. Washed up version of Guerrero. So, even the Paulie fight, I wasn't mad at as an introductory fight at 147. It was what it was supposed to be. Introductory fight at the weight. And nothing.
He's fighting another introductory too. He's fighting another introductory fight. I mean, I know He's fighting Thurman next, allegedly.
Like I said, I would have been cool with the top 15 of WBC defense, as opposed to who he's fighting now. But, I'm still not going to beat down on him too much with, what's potentially looming with the Thurman fight, which is a mega fight at 147. And, like TK was saying, it's a better fight than people realize. It's a real good fight.
Let's go for it.
Go. I'm done, man. I'm not fooling with you no more, man. But what's that Rocky top looking like? What's that Rocky top looking like?
Hey, they looking like Garcia gonna look on November 12th. We got Thurman Marcus March.
Oh
man. I'm just fucking around now for real. Garcia win this fight, man.
But yeah, man. So I guess we're gonna go into our U.O.E.N.O segment of the day. On this day, October 19th, 1984, in New York, my man, body snatcher Mike McCallum won a 15-round decision against Sean Mannion to win the vacant WBA super welterweight title. His first title, by the way. Big up to the Yardie, man. Body snatcher. For me, probably one of the top 3 154-pounders ever in history.
Hell yeah.
Terry Norris is up there, pretty much at the 154 for me, and Tommy Hearns, of course. Body snatcher legend, man. So big up to him. And that leads us to our final blow segment of the day, which is going to be handled by our boy Bo.
Man, boxing is a global sport. When you win that world title, that's exactly what it means. I mean, you can defend that title any place on the face of this planet. But the reason why I love this sport, let's make something clear. All of us talking, we're not getting paid by any of these cats we talked about, okay? We have no personal investment. We got no type of donation. We, ain't had no kind of shout-out, Instagram posts, sticker tags, even a fucking postmark with our name on it from these dudes. But we talk about it because we love this sport. Boxing is the one sport to me that it brings people from all shapes, forms, and walks of life together. Each one of us live in different cities. Each one of us have different backgrounds, but what we have in common is the fact that we love this sport. Boxing in its purest form is one of the greatest sports there ever was to me because it's one man versus another man. And if you lose, the only person you got to blame is yourself. I love this sport because it's a hard sport. Boxing is brutal. It asks a lot of you, but in boxing also, you find out who you are and what the fuck it is you're made of. So I love this sport. That's why I respect our fighters. I respect our entities. I don't want any part of it to go away because at its very, very core, before basketball, before football, there was fucking boxing. Okay? This sport goes all the way back to bare knuckles. When they closed down the Roman, the Roman Coliseum, they had no more gladiator fights. They started coming up with fucking boxing. This shit has been passed down through the history of time. It has been eternal, and it has been bred in our soul and in our blood. And I love this motherfucker to its very, very core because it represents everything that I think life stands for. Trials, tribulation, discipline, guts, glory, survival, all right? It's high price. It asks a lot of you, but it gives you a great reward at the end of it. So when you see a fighter or when you see a promoter or when you see people talking this sport, give this sport every ounce of respect it fucking deserves because at the end of the day, no other sport brings people together. No other sport gives you what you are asking for as far as give and take and make no excuses like boxing. It is the one sport to where you will get out what the fuck you give. And we love this sport. We do this because we love this sport. And we also do it because there's some part of this sport that represents who we are as people. So Boxing is the one thing, ladies and gentlemen, regardless of how much we like it, don't like it, talk about it, don't like fighters, but bottom line is, it's still boxing. And if you truly love this sport, you have to give it its respect.
All right, big up to Bo on that, man. We're going to end the show on that note. Great note at that, you know what I'm saying? Big up on the final blood tonight, Bo. Signing off for my co-host, you know, we got 2K, the guys for the boxing talk. We got Bo, the truth and facts about boxing. And we got Big Guru from Colossal Boxing Talk, and I am Twine, the Divine Liberty of HoopJab.com and Rocky Mountain Boxing. And together we are the movement.